All right, another 8-point here in South Carolina. This buck has never been on a property before that I know of. No pictures of him. He came on tonight. What a crazy hunt. It was chaos. It was a spot that I sat in before with Hunter, and it's the meeting place. I call it the meeting place. At night, at around this time of year, the bucks come in and meet the does. The does start to group up in the oaks and the field. They got a lot of food right there. So what happened was, right off the bat, I got a buck coming out, small buck coming out into the field, and did a little bit of recording of that. We'll throw some video up. As I moved to record the buck, I looked over and there was a doe that had kind of had me pegged, but I was in a really good spot underneath a cedar tree. And she'd look over and then she'd look away, and 3 does came out that way. I looked back down to where the small buck had come out of the woods, and here comes 4 more. 4 doe come out, and it was bad because the 3 deer were looking at me. They seen something, but they seen the other does over there acting normal, so they're kind of looking back and forth, and it was crazy right there at the point. So I can't move because I'm pegged, and they come up to within 40 yards of me. 2 big oak trees right there. I got some video on the phone, and I'm recording them, and all of a sudden I hear running behind me. The 4 doe to my right came up, and they came back, and they met right in front of me. All the doe were right in front of me. One of the bucks went up along the right-hand side. I'm sitting there underneath that oak tree or that cedar tree, and I can't see behind me, but I can hear deer running behind me. The does start stomping her foot. One of them starts snorting, just keeps snorting over and over again, snorting, but they're moving away from me. They're looking up above the hill. The wind is blowing to the left. It was a bad setup for the bucks. I thought the bucks were going to come from where the does came from. I'm sitting there, and I heard that running behind me, just kept sitting there. The does one would snort, but the other ones were looking like, what the heck are you doing? So I finally pull up my X-Sight after they settle down and start to eat, but that one doe just kept snorting, just little snorts. I look down, there's another buck, a 6-point come out. I start recording that 6-point. And next thing I know, the does all look behind me, and I turn to my right, and I see this buck out there just standing, looking in the direction where the does are looking, and with 2 other bucks. They would come up to me, they'd look right at me, they would go back over the hill, they'd come back out. They wanted to get with them does. They had to get with them does. This buck wanted to get down there with all those does, and I just sat there. I actually unscrewed the mount from my tripod. I was going to try and make a move at some point, go against a tree to take this buck right here, and that buck just kept looking at me. There was 3 of them. One would look at me, one would look away. I got it loose, and I was about ready to make a move, and this buck just took off. He kind of just, hey, I'm going for it. He went down after the does. I put it back on the tripod. It's a little bit shaky because I was putting it back on the tripod. He goes down there, and he chases those does a little bit. And there's a big oak tree down there about 150 yards. I couldn't get him in between some of the branches, and he came around that oak tree, and I put it on right behind his shoulder. I hit just a smidge back, but man, at 150 yards, I put it on him. He kicked, he ran in, and I actually watched him go in there and bed. So he went over there and he bedded, stayed there for a while, and I'm still watching him. I could see him over there, just parts of him, and I was going to give him time. Another deer went over to him, left, came back over to him and left, and I seen him get up one more time right before dark, right at the last bit that I could see him. I seen this buck get up, and he started to come out to this point. And the good thing about this is it's really just a point that goes out into the field, and I could search this really easy. So I went back to my car, man. I gave him a little bit of time, gave him a couple hours, and I came back, followed the blood. I had good blood where he bedded down. After bedding down, I didn't have much blood, but I kind of went where I watched him walk, and I looked up over top of the hill here, and I got up on top here, and here he was. So 3rd buck of the year, nice 8-point, big long tines right there. I'll take him, come out into the field chasing the bucks. Time to go to Pennsylvania. Next week I'm going to Pennsylvania, and hopefully I can go up there and get successful, be successful. Haven't been up there in 20 years, so thanks for watching, like, and subscribing. We found him. It's dark. I'll get him out of here, but I'll take him.